Hi, I'm Adam Porter and this is my board gaming vlog, and today I'm going to give you a little tour of my games room. I'm going to show you my collection in the broadest possible terms. I'm not going to go into too much about individual games because I've recently done a top 100 games of all time in my view, and you'll get a little bit of insight about my favourite games if you watch those videos. This video is partly inspired by Actual's video. John Perkis recently did a tour of his game collection. I really enjoyed watching that, but also because lots of people have asked me about doing something like this over the years. I've done a few takes where I've tried to go through and talk about individual games, and I just found I was running at such a long duration for these videos that no one was going to watch it. So I'm afraid we're going to have to go broad strokes here. I'll show you everything, but I'm not going to talk about everything. So this is the Kallax shelves, the IKEA Kallax. Every YouTuber has Kallax shelves, don't they? In fact, most serious gamers have Kallax shelves or some variety of IKEA shelving. So this is what I've got. Along the top here, I've got a lot of big box games, mostly Euro games. I have a lot of family style games, but to be honest, my collection tends to show different eras of gaming where I was interested in games at different points. So when I first got into modern gaming, for example, there was a point where I was really into economic gaming. So I had games like Automobile, which I really enjoyed. I was really into Power Grid. I really liked that, but I haven't played it that much recently. And games like Mercurius at the top here and Haben Gut, which are stock market games that I really enjoy, although they're a bit lighter than something like Automobile or Power Grid. Power Grid is a game that I've upgraded massively, so it's full of lovely little extra resource pieces from MeepleSource, little extra wooden pieces. So some of my games have got upgrades in them. As we go along here, this shelf here has games that I've designed. So there's 7 games in there because I've got 7 published games at the moment. Sometimes I display them sort of face out front and center, and then I think, oh, that looks a bit cluttered, and so then they go away into a shelf, and then I think, oh, well, that's a bit of a shame to have them hidden away, but I've never quite worked out how best to display my games and feel proud of them. And not to mention all the different foreign language versions. I've got whole cupboards full of extra copies of my games. And then these are sort of, the shelves are loosely sort of, they're put together because of size largely, but loosely because of publisher and things like that. So we've got a shelf here with lots of Ravensburger stuff. Jaws is an example of something which I've picked up because it's research. So sometimes I pick up games for game design research purposes. Here I was looking at, how do I design a game that's based around a film or a TV program? Because I'm finding now that publishers will sometimes send me a list of different licenses that they've got and say, could you create a game that fits to this license or that license? And I'm not very experienced at doing that because I don't play that many games of that type. So Jaws was quite a nice example of that. And Jaws uses a system similar to Scotland Yard, which was my favourite game as a kid. So I've got my copy of Scotland Yard, which I had when I was a child for nostalgia reasons, and then a more modern version next to it. And Labyrinth, which was my wife's favourite game as a kid. So Ravensburger is a publisher I'm quite fond of. Down here I've got a bunch of blue-orange games. Dr. Eureka and Go-Go Gelato, which are very similar things. Battleship and Cloud City as well. And then some Game Right games. But they're all grouped together because they're for young players, families, fun, quick games. To be honest, I don't play them with young players and families. I tend to play them myself and enjoy them. But they all fit in the similar size boxes. All the Freedom and Free stuff all goes together over here. We've got oddities like Fieser Freunde Vetter Fetten, which was called Funny Friends in its English version, and is a really sort of gritty example of a sort of game of lifestyle game, but it's all about parties and drug use and relationships and affairs, and it's a quite a harsh look at the realities of life. And then Fischer, Fluppen, Frikadellen. I've got 3 copies of that down here because this is a game that you can play on 3 different tables. So you can have 5 players at each table, and then players can swap in and out of the different games as they go on. So you might end up with 10 players at one table, 2 at another, 3 at another, and so on. But each table will have its own little stock market going on. So I might find on my table that fish aren't worth very much, but on another table they're worth an absolute fortune. So you can move back and forth between the rooms. I haven't played it very often, and I don't think it's really all that good as a game, but it's a great experience. And I would like to try it again at some point. There's another example of a game that I've really got a deluxe version of, Luna, down here, the Stefan Feld game. I've got the deluxe version with all the nice maple sauce wooden pieces. What else do I need to tell you from this selection here? Oh, I've got my Lookout Spiel smaller box games here. I really like the pictures on the side, the Clemens Franz artwork and how it all meshes together to make a nice appearance. So I like having those together. Up here, Munchkin DuckTales. That is not a game that I would normally buy, but again, it's for research purposes because I'm looking at making games with IPs. And then behind them, we've got Keyflower, Cathedral, classic Euro games. Some real classic Euro games up here, Marco Polo, Architects of the West Kingdom. These are games that I don't get to the table particularly often because I always have to read the rules and try and remember how to play. Whereas with this simple stuff, you know, I can just pick it up and play without worrying too much about it. Some oddities down here like Bucket King 3D. I really like the Jolly Thinkers range of games from China. And this one is a trick-taking game, but you've got piles of plastic cups stacked up in front of each player, and when you play certain coloured tricks, you knock cups out of their stack. It's completely chaotic and silly and mean, take that style game. But that chaotic gameplay is kind of a hallmark of that Jolly Thinkers range. And then Cube and Vollpelz, a German games, not particularly well-known German games, I don't think even in Germany, but they're all right, and they're interesting. You know, they're there because they're interesting oddities, not because they're fantastic games. Whereas Witness is one of the best games I've ever played. And then we've got Reiner Knizia games and, you know, classic old Euros, like my copy of Glenmore here. I haven't picked up Glenmore 2 because it's massive. I like this little tiny copy of Glenmore. I wish they'd do a little tiny copy of Glenmore with some nice upgraded artwork instead of adding in all the expansions and campaigns and everything that came in that Glenmore 2 box. So I haven't picked that up. Gambit 7 is a European version of Wits and Wagers. That's a really good game for lockdown. I've played that a lot through Zoom. It's a trivia game that you can play with your friends through Zoom. It works really well if one player's got a copy. But Wits and Wagers would work just as well. Just the questions are a bit more American-centric. Serrano is poetry writing game. But I'm not going to get into the details of all of these games because I've got too many and it's going to take forever. So there's my Kallax. I will give you a quick look at the bottom shelves as well so you can see what's on those. So let's go down to the next shelf. So here's Goblet and Quarto. These are nice abstract strategy games. Om Nom Nom, which is the game that introduced me to Brain Games, but I particularly loved Om Nom Nom. And Brain Games have gone on to produce a couple of my own games. Crosstalk's Party Game, St. Petersburg's great. This is The Climbers, but it's an old German version of The Climbers in a sort of shoebox. Okay, I was really pleased when I managed to pick that up at Essen Spiel years and years ago, and then of course realised I had to carry it in my suitcase home, and it's really heavy because it's full of these wooden blocks. If we move along here, we've got Arcane Academy. This is Perudo up here. LuniQuest Dream Home, Luchador. I've got a couple of wrestling games because I've always got this idea in my head that one day I'm going to design a wrestling game. It's because my favourite game as a kid was Wrestling. I really liked the card game Wrestling from Avalon Hill. So moving along here, Magic Maze, Untold Adventures Await. This is a really good storytelling game. Another German oddity. I like these games from Norris, these really simple games from Norris Spieler. So Mops Royal. This is an expansion to Talisman, Happy Pigs and Decalco. I haven't played Cryptid yet, but I will. If Wishes Were Fishes is an old classic, overlooked. The Key is a deduction game from last year. So these are some nice games. Play Juju. This is I don't even know where this is from. I can't remember. Is it a Korean game probably? Play Juju. I haven't played this a huge amount, but it's cute. Little stacking pieces, moving around, dropping off pieces as you move. It's a set collection game. Over here, we've got some of the GIF series. So Link, Punkt, Yinch, GIF. I'd like to have the other three in the range, but I don't have them yet. Balderdash, really fun party game. Bonanza. I really like the theme of the Great Dinosaur Rush, collecting dinosaur bones and putting them together to create dinosaur skeletons. And then, oh my god, Monopoly Gamer. I just think Monopoly Gamer is so fun. It's such a silly version of Monopoly. It turns Monopoly into what it should be, something shorter, much more silly, doesn't take itself as seriously as Monopoly normally would. So there we go, there's another wrestling game, Superstar Showdown, Quirkle, Abstract Strategy, another trivia game, and some Zock Verlag. Then we have draws like this one here. This one is absolutely crammed full of 2-player only card games, largely card games. This is a flicking game actually from Matt Dunstan and Trevor Benjamin. Again, cruelly overlooked, could do with another life, that one. But this box is absolutely full of these 2-player only games. So here's another draw. And this one has just got a selection of games that there's no theme to them really, is there? There's party games, some games from Yellow like Little Town, some games from Gigamic like Difference and Yogi. And then moving over here, we've got a shelf where the middle has been taken out for larger boxes. So we have Catacombs down here, the 25th anniversary, sorry, 10th anniversary, not 25th anniversary, of Ticket to Ride. Then Upwards, which is a game that I had as a kid, which is a bit like Scrabble. And Babylonia, which is a Reiner Knizia game, feels like a classic, even though it's fairly recent. Ice Cool over here from Brain Games, as well as Pyramid of Pen Cream from Brain Games. Rhino Hero, another kids game, and then Dominion. And I've got quite a few Dominion expansions all contained in that box. And in the middle of the room, I've obviously got this big gaming table. This is a Geek and Sun table. This is usually the format that I have it in most of the time, so obviously I can remove these sections here to have a larger playing space, but I tend to like to have this as part sort of regular table and part gaming table. And to be honest, since I've been at home through lockdown, working from home a lot of the time, this has become my office as well, this room, so often I'm using this surface as a working space. So this is one thing I really like about these tables, is the fact that you can separate off and have a sunken section as well as a raised section at the end here. And at the other end of the room, we've got this small selection of games down here. So this is my more, fantasy Games Workshop style games. I was quite into Games Workshop when I was a teenager. So we've got Hero Quest from when I was a kid, older version of Blood Bowl, newer versions of Blood Bowl, and so on. This is an old game from my dad's childhood. Dover Patrol is in that box. Rubik's Races from when I was a kid. And then these bigger boxes like El Grande and Scythe. And then more of these boxes here. This is actually full of, again, Games Workshop stuff. So Age of Sigmar, I've started playing a little bit, just dabbling with it really. But I've got quite a lot of stuff for it. Inevitably, you pretty quickly start buying up a lot of stuff once you start playing those games. I'm enjoying it. In the past I did play a bit of Warhammer 40k, and so getting back into it really. And this box has got something similar in it, again, a little bit of Age of Sigmar. And you can see down here Age of Sigmar stuff as well. Then here, Yellow and Yangtze and Tigris and Euphrates, which are two of my favourite Reiner Knizia games. Formula D Mini, and then this box it's an old Charterstone box, but because I finished Charterstone, I've emptied it out. And what you've got in here, I'll show you. So this is Amigo small box, small games, small card games from Amigo, all in this one box. I think it's quite a nice way of storing them actually and keeping them all together. So that's what we have there. I do like Amigo little Amigo card games. I think they're really cute. They're cheap, and I always buy quite a few of them when I go to Essenspiel every year. So we'll slot that back up there. And then we've got two more boxes up here. So this one is full of puzzles. So puzzle games from companies like the Happy Puzzle Company and Smart Games. They all go in here. So we've got things like Dog Crimes. That's from Think Fun, actually, that one. And you know, I've got quite into this stuff since working with Happy Puzzle Company myself on games like Quazzle and Zooligans. So we have that box, and then the box at the bottom, I don't even remember what's in here. Okay, so this one has folders in it like this, and this is full of cards from Catacombs. Okay, so Catacombs just has tons and tons of different cards in it, and I've always found it quite hard to sort of store them and know what's what. So I've got them in a a folder like that, and I've got a similar folder in there for Star Wars Destiny as well. So on this side of the room, we've got lots of large boxes, large box games up here, right up to the top there. Again, lots of Lookout Spiel strategy games, Uwe Rosenberg games, that sort of thing. I do like Uwe Rosenberg games. I particularly like up there Agricola and Grand Austria Hotel are big favourites of mine. Poseidon is my one little dabble into 18xx. I do like Poseidon, but when I've tried to go deeper into 18xx games, it's been a no-go. It's too much for me. And then we've got some other nice Euro games up there as well. And then along here, a lot of Zoc Verlag games. I love Zoc Verlag, one of my favourite publishers. These games are really odd and fantastic, particularly Auf Teufel komm raus and Leglos are amazing games. But then we've got some more modern stuff, newer stuff like Santa Monica over here. I'm a fan of Asterix and Obelix, so although this game is not terribly good, I just like it because it's got Asterix and Obelix in it, and it's a very simple sort of game. Libertalia needs a reprint. This publisher, Marabunta, I don't think they do things anymore, but both of these games are really good. Panic on Wall Street is a stock market party game for massive numbers of players, really loud, shouty game. Everyone's shouting over each other because you've got to do everything so quickly. And then down here, we've got the Super Meeple range. Love Super Meeple games, Mafia Zoo, and then the Mask trilogy. Just the quality of those games is something else. Some Queen games down here. Skylands is a particular favourite of my wife's. And then a range of Cosmos games down here. And then my Evolution games, Evolution Climate, and Oceans over here. And down below we've got a cupboard which I'll show you now. So here we have a cupboard below the shelves that I've just shown you. So this is full of other games. Some of them because I don't want them on display, like Cluedo and Monopoly Millionaire and Scrabble. There's some games I just kind of feel like I should have. My wife likes Cluedo because she played it as a kid. She hasn't yet come to the realisation that it's not terribly good, but it is. And I've enjoyed exploring Monopoly, actually, trying to work out whether there are any decent versions. To be honest, the best version is this one. You Build It Monopoly. This is pretty good. This is actually a pretty good game. Okay, you make the map as you wish with hexes. You can make it as big or as small as you like. There's some nice little strategy elements to it. It's just much better than normal Monopoly. All right, and then an old game like Lingo. Here's Wrestling, which is my favourite game as a sort of teenage boy. And then there's my homemade anniversary edition of Wrestling, where I coloured everything in and made everything look much nicer. We've got a whole bunch of different small games here, like Happy Salmon and Ninja Dice and Bananagrams over here, and then other, some blue-orange games and little oddities down here. A load of Star Wars Destiny stuff and that collectible card game, and then some simple games like Go Nuts for Donuts, Point Salad, some nice Amigo games like Ringalding and Speed Cups, little oddities like this from Game Factory called Ukuma, and Zoinks and Punto, these sort of tiny little games that all get hidden away in there, along with stuff which is just, I don't want it on display, like rubber bands and baggies to put my wooden cubes in for my games and so on. So similar sort of thing going on in this cupboard on the other side of the room. So lots of little games like Captain Carcass, Sushi Go, King's Gold, Hein. There's some doubles in here, and there's a lot of games behind these as well. High Society back there. Here's some Pick a Pig, Pick a Dog, some Jolly Thinkers type games. Baby Boom, that's a really good little abstract strategy game that nobody knows about, but it's really good, Baby Boom. I really like it. So we've got a whole bunch of stuff in here. Stuff down the bottom there. Cartographers is tucked away down there. Cartographers deserves to be pride of place on some shelf somewhere, but instead it's tucked away at the bottom of this cupboard. So this one's a little bit of a mess, but lots of nice stuff in there. And then up here, you can see these are mugs made by very kind friends of mine for my 40th birthday. So they got me a mug for Doodle Rush, a mug for Big Bazaar, one for Big Coco, and one for Quazzle. In fact, they added Quazzle and I think Picoco at a later date, at a later birthday. So, I need to get some more just to complete the full range of 7 games. So moving on up above the cupboard that we've just looked in, so we've got a bunch more of these games here. So you've got Pioneer Days at the top there. That's another one from Matt Dunstan and Brett Gilbert. Trois, Princes of Florence, haven't played them for a while. Dominant Species, probably the heaviest game that I own. And so on down here, lots of Ticket to Rides, variants of Ticket to Ride. Abyss is one of my very favourite games, absolutely, I think, second favourite game. Bunny Kingdom, these are all games that my wife and I play and really enjoy. So Bunny Kingdom and the expansion, Wingspan, I've got a couple of Wingspan expansions, but unfortunately they don't fit on the shelf because they're all different sizes. Taverns of Tiefenthal, Quacks of Quedlinburg, I've got both expansions for that. The new one, The Alchemists, is really good. And then Everdell and Pearlbrook are the only two I've got. At some point I'm going to have to shift this because I have backed the complete collection, which will come in a massive coffins type box to go somewhere else on my shelves. And then of course up here we've got Crokinole, that classic Canadian disc flicking game, which you take down on the wall, put on the table, and then you're flicking discs trying to land them in the centre of this thing that looks like a dartboard. And then over to my left here, this is just a sort of fireplace, a fake fireplace, but it's got my Agricola coasters. So I had these Agricola coasters made many years ago now, which are based on the sort of tiles from Agricola, and these are generally what we keep drinks on in this games room with a nice Agricola theme. So the final bits that I haven't shown you are these up here, these CD racks that I have alongside my big Kallax shelf that has a whole bunch of little tiny games in them. So we've got Zock Verlag games, we've got little boxes from 2F Spiel there. I can see some more Zock Verlag, lots of Zock Verlag in there. And if I'm struggling to work out how to show you all of this, so I'm having to just tweak the camera from behind here. So there we are, there's some Pegasus Spiel, The Crew, I haven't played that yet. Here, Crosswords, I'm looking forward to trying this one out when party games get back into fashion after lockdown. I think that one looks really good. And then a bunch of NSV games like Quinto, Quicks, Harbour Fertig, Cuvadis, Dick Dran, Illusion, Landunter. Right, I hate to do this to you guys, but we're going handheld. I'm sorry, the tripod was too much for me. So here's our NSV games that I was just talking about. Moving down, we've got a couple of Helvetique games. These are from the same range as Compromat, my game. There's more Helvetique games down here, as well as some games by Bez in a bind, and this is Wibble, I believe, Wibble++. And then Timeline, we've got several tins of Timeline down here. I do like Timeline. And just some little oddities down at the bottom there. And I'm going to move over to the other side of the Kallax and we'll have a look at the CD rack over there. So starting at the top, we've got the Everdell tree, which I don't like to take apart because it gets ruined every time I try and put it back in the box. So that sits at the top there. I'll be glad when I've got my new Everdell and I've got a wooden tree. Okay, so then here, some nice games, Rat-a-Tat-Cat, Piemald Flauman, real classics. Moving down, Anomia, brilliant party game. And down here we've got Cockroach Poker. That's one of the best games ever made, I think. I love Cockroach Poker and Cockroach Poker Royal. And here's some more in that same range. Kakerlak and Salent, Bis Zwanzig, Schlummelhummel and Kakerlak and Tanz. Mr. and Mrs. This is a game somebody bought for me when I got married. It's not really part of the collection. It just happens to be tucked in there. Kobayakawa, Time Bomb, you know, more and more of these little games. Really cute little games. Oh, I love this range. This is fantastic, this range. Skulking, where am I? Skulking, Voodoo Prince, and Vampire Queen. They're fantastic. These two are Flux. They haven't been turned around so that you can't see what they are deliberately. I'm not embarrassed about owning 2 copies of Flux, but we've got Flux, and Pirate Flux in there. Scribble Time, a few more. And then down here, there's the original Sushi Go, the original printing of Sushi Go before Gamewright did their fancy version. And Dice Heist, what an overlooked gem Dice Heist is. At the bottom here, some yellow mini games. Best ones in this range. Oh, Aramini Circus, just fantastic. Shot and Totten, incredible 2-player game. And Hanamakoji's stuck under there as well, isn't it? Hanamakoji, brilliant 2-player game as well. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please watch some of my others on my channel, Adam's Board Game Wales, or follow me on Twitter @BoardGameWales. or on Board Game Geek, I'm Adam78. I've got loads of videos on my YouTube channel about game design, game reviews, top 10s, all sorts. And it goes back years and years to when I was a terrible presenter, even worse than I am now. So there should be something there for you to enjoy at some point, something that will take your interest. But if not, I'm glad you watched this video through to the end anyway. So thank you very much for watching. All the best.